be among friends with our family, and for a good reason, to promote the cause of liberty in a revolutionary spirit. Thank you very much for being here. I have to tell you, though, I was pretty worried the early part of this week. Saw a couple of bad articles. It wasn't the hurricane that I was worried about. I saw that it said, revolution is over. There's going to be no revolution. Major paper in Washington, D.C. that said, the revolution will not be happening. Don't they only wish? It is so great to come together for something so important. You know, a lot of people say that today is a very important day, and I think it is. Our events today, to me, very important. And they say that this convention is very important this week, and indeed it is. And this election is very important. And let me tell you, there's something even more important than all that, and that is the cause that we're leading, and the cause of liberty, and the attention that we're getting right now. And of course, I've written that off. And today, I was very excited. I got a call from RNC. And they said they changed their mind. And they're going to give me a whole hour. I can say anything I want. Tomorrow night. Just kidding. First off, I really want to recognize our delegates, hundreds. I don't know how many, but thank you. Takes a lot of hard work, and you knew the rules better than they thought they knew the rules. But, you know, that didn't stop them. They've learned how to bend rules, break rules, and now they want to rewrite the rules. But then again, maybe they've been paying attention to what's been going on in Washington. They've been bending the rules and breaking the rules and rewriting the rules for too long. That's what we have to stop from happening. You know, people at the convention were worried just how much trouble we would cause, and generally known what my advice is to stopping something for the sake of stopping doesn't achieve a whole lot, so I've been a little bit cautious. But what they have found out is they've overstepped the bound. There's a big fight going on, and we're involved in it, but everybody else, a bunch of them are joining us and saying you've gone too far, the Ron Paul people were right about overstepping the bound. It's just been great, the experience I've had these last 5 years, and it's been a very important time, not only for me personally, but I think for the attention that we're getting. Now, I received a lot of compliments about it and given some credit about it, but I'll tell you what, it takes you, it takes a lot of other people, there's been a lot of things going on for decades, and it's coming about. It's coming about. Not so much, not only because I believe we're right on the issues, but what is coming out right now is proof positive that their philosophy of government, whether it's foreign policy, monetary policy, or economic policy, is failing, and they need something different. Victor Hugo about Samuel Adams about an irate college minority and bringing about changes in that way. But ultimately, that minority was irate and tireless, and they light the fires of liberty in the minds of men. Yes, that's important. But ultimately, numbers do count. And even numbers do count when they don't count all the votes as well, because we do have the numbers. Those who promote ideas ultimately have to have an influence on the prevailing attitudes of the people. That is what's happening today. The people now are waking up and they're realizing the failure of what we have and the reason that these ideas are coming about. Now, in this primary, we had close to 2 million votes. They say, oh, yeah, there's 2 million votes. That doesn't swing an election. It's no big deal. But guess what? For every vote that we got in the primary, let me tell you, just from my personal experience of traveling around the country and meeting people at airports and wherever, the support out there is much, much greater, and they don't feel comfortable coming to a Republican primary. So the support there, I would say, be 2 or 3 times as much as the number of votes we got in the primary. Excitement that the young people bring, the excitement we've had on the campuses. As we understand that after the last campaign that we ran on college campuses, how many campuses did I go to? And let me tell you, if they had told me I was going to go to this number of campuses during the campaign, I probably would have said, there's no way you can do that. We went to 33 college campuses. Close to 150,000 young people enthusiastic. Were they the conservative college campuses? Or were they the liberal college campuses? No, they were all the college campuses. They brought them. Now, when we think that there's a party that says, well, we have an open tent. We want new people to come in. We want to appeal to the young people. Don't you think they would be begging and pleading that they come into the big tent? We'll get into the tent, believe me, because we will become the tent eventually. Once they know we are the future, they will know about it. But the young people certainly have the enthusiasm. And I think it's the enthusiasm that really energizes a campaign. It energizes not only themselves and the college campuses, and I've always maintained there will not be a true revolution unless the college campuses are alive and well with those ideas. Sometimes 13 and 14 and 15, they bring their parents to the office and have them converted into believing and understanding about what liberty is all about. Young people energize a lot of other people and give the energy to the remnant who believe who are with us already. So this to me is exciting with the energy that we have. It seems to me that they would be begging and pleading for us to come into the party. Most people in this room probably read that book called 1984. It was required reading in high school for so many years. And, I figured it out. I can explain to you where the problem is. 1984 has been read by lot. I would assume everybody in this room read it as a dire warning of what could happen to a society if you're not careful. I think a bunch of people read the book and thought it was a business plan, and they ran for Congress. So many claim they read it, and they claim that they understand this, and yet they do the very things that we have been fighting against and trying to stop. During the campaign, I got a lot of advice. Can you believe that? A lot of advice. Sometimes from strangers, sometimes from our enemies, sometimes from my family as well. But no, the advice that came up from the very well-meaning individuals who were in the category of maybe mainstream Republican. And they would come up and say, Ron, we really like you. We like what you're doing, and we like what you're saying. But if you would only do one thing, if you would change one thing, boy, you would really have a lot more success. You need to change your foreign policy. The policy that I do have, I don't believe we would be here tonight. And this is something they obviously do not understand. Those who do understand it fear it because of the powerful special interest behind a foreign policy of intervention in the military-industrial complex. So it's complex, but they strongly resent this. But it was mentioned already today, I had mentioned it before, but I think it's the best test of my support coming from, more so than anybody else, from the military for our foreign policy. The subject of monetary policy, of course, comes up frequently in Washington on our committee, but off and on over quite a few years. And the question has always been, what are we going to do with the penny? You know, they want to change it to steel, but they can't even afford the steel. If you have a steel penny instead, we can't. We're off the gold, off the silver, we're off the copper standard. Now we're on the zinc standard. We can't even afford a zinc penny. So now they want to make them out of steel. Like the steel, by the time you pay for labor, it costs more than a penny to make a steel penny. So there was an article, a headline came out the other day, it said, can we save the penny? And I got to thinking, well, they don't understand monetary policy, or they wouldn't be talking that way. The bigger question that we will be forced to face is, can we save the dollar? There was a bill passed not too long ago, and as you could guess, I voted against it. That's that Dodd-Frank bill. Did you ever hear of that monster? In that bill, they gave more power to the Federal Reserve as they created a board of Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, protect all the consumers. So they were given a task here a couple of months ago. It was designed to make things more efficient. That's why this story will tell you why efficiency is not the answer to our problems. We don't want more efficient government. We want to get the government out of the business that they're not supposed to be doing. Because it's complex, and now they're more complex because they had a bubble. They don't know where the bubble came from because it was probably because they didn't fill out enough forms. So they said, what we need to do is simplify these forms. So they went to work, and indeed, they came up with a solution. They provided the solution. It was 1,000 pages long on how to reduce 2 forms to 1 form. All these new regulations placed on everybody who applies for a bill, and they think that will be the solution. But that isn't the solution. The solution is get the government out of our lives and off our back and out of our wallets. We are serious, and when we have the clout, what we do is we don't tinker around with 1,000 pages to simplify things. What we do is we repeal Dodd-Frank is what we do. And there was another time the Republicans, when they were in charge, they passed the Sarbanes-Oxley. It's cost businessmen $1 trillion with new regulation. But that was when the conservatives were in charge. So when we're getting rid of Dodd-Frank, we get rid of Sarbanes-Oxley as well. I am convinced that we're living at a time that an era is ending. And this is significant because you can be depressed at times when you look at what's happening in Washington, you work hard, you come close to victories, you don't have real victories, it goes on and on. He says, this is too overwhelming. And Washington is responding too slowly. But the end of an era provides an opportunity. And I'm thinking recently about what era are we talking about? And I would say, first off, in the last 100 years approximately, what about 1913? That was a beginning of an era. that was a beginning of a time where they said, you know, with the income tax and the new foreign policy, we're going to make the world safe for democracy, and we're going to have a war to end all wars, and we're going to have a Federal Reserve that's going to get rid of the business cycle, on and on. We were going to introduce this wonderful era. But guess what? That era is not with us anymore. It's over and done with. We're just looking at the last vestiges of a bad program started in 1913. We will eventually get rid of the Federal Reserve. Also, at approximately that same time, something else was started, and that was the domination or the oncoming of communism, 1917. The Bolsheviks taking over, and communism was a panacea. It was all done with good intentions to take care of the people. All those wonderful promises. Well, communism lasted 74 years. It dissipated between 1989 and 1991. People don't talk too much about communism anymore. At the same time, communism brought about, it's hard to count when it gets up into the hundreds of millions. It is estimated that possibly 200 million people died by people who were able to put bad ideas out on the table and look at the tragedy of what happened. That era is over and done with. We are not going to see the world go back to that type of a program again. One of the books that impressed me when I was still in medical school was Dr. Zhivago. And I remember one line in there when Laura was talking to Zhivago, and things were very, very bad during the revolution. And she says to Zhivago, "What a terrible time to be alive." And she was absolutely right, anticipating just what was coming. I think things are different now. I don't think we should be as depressed. We have more knowledge now than ever before. We also had the 1930s, a continuation of the progressive era. We had the Keynesian economic policies take over. The new Deal policies taken over, the fascism of Hitler and Mussolini. And they contributed to another 25 million people that died, just the fascism of Europe. So the 1930s didn't do us well either. And then that, of course, when you have bad economic policy, when you get involved in a war to end wars, it's only a war to begin more wars, and you end up in another world war, we end up, again, another World War II, and then after World War II, we have this internationalism come in. We have the development of the United Nations, the IMF, the World Bank. They set up, of course, they were working toward worldwide currency, so they set up this Bretton Woods agreement on money, which was a total farce. The good economists, the Austrian economists at that time said, it can't work, it won't work. And indeed, when it fell apart, it was a very, very impressive day for me. Because like this night, a Sunday evening, it was on a Sunday evening, August 15th, 1971, the Bretton Woods monetary system collapsed. But that was predictable, and that's over with. And there are some, there's no doubt, who like to go back to that. But it also gives us the wonderful opportunity to advance forward. In more recent history, we have had the advancement of these failed policy, the project for a new American century. That is you already know there are a bunch of neocons running that show. They actually opened up an office in 1997. They closed their office in 2006. That doesn't mean they're gone. That doesn't mean they're not influencing most of the politicians in Washington, but believe me, they're losing steam. Right now, the wars that have been fought in these 10 last years has given us $4 trillion worth of debt, are unpopular, we can't afford them, the American people want us out, they want to bring the troops home. Listen to your shouts, and if they don't listen to common sense, they're going to listen to the facts of life. And the facts of life is we can't afford it anymore. The Soviets didn't leave because they had an enlightenment. They left because they were broke. And they so foolishly got bogged down in Afghanistan. So why don't we rise up and just take care of ourselves and defend our country and not be the first of the world? Conditions that have been developing for the past 100 years, and now we're in the midst of a change, providing an opportunity for a revolution towards liberty. This has provided some very serious problems for us. It will not be smooth sailing, but there's reason to be optimistic that we can have great achievement. But to me, the three problems that we have to face. Number one, that I see as the problem, and if we solved it, it probably would solve most of the other ones. And that is the attack on personal liberty. The people truly understood what personal liberty means, that you have self-ownership, that you have a natural God-given right to your life, therefore you have a right to your liberty, and we defend all life and all liberty regardless of our judgment about how people are using that liberty. Then we would have the natural sequence of saying, if that is the case, you have a natural right to keep the fruits of your labor. And all of it. Personal liberty, when it returns, once again, you'll be able to drink raw milk. You'll be able to make rope out of hemp. bust into your house when I shut you up. You will be allowed, without a government permit, to buy nutritional products when you please and what you please. No longer will government assume they have the responsibility of protecting you against yourself. Nobody